Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to talk about a heavy subject here. It's a bit outside the norm for what you would expect from a comics related channel, but I think it's worth talking about. I'm going to say this right off the bat, and not everybody will agree, but that's okay. I don't believe that people are evil. People are people. They are who they are, and that who they are was developed based on how they were born and the experiences they accumulate over the lifetime of memories and interactions with other people and experiences throughout life. But I don't believe people are inherently evil. I do believe, however, that people can be infected with evil, like a virus, like a cancer. It gets in you. It gets in your soul. It can rot you from the inside and just turn you ugly and terrible. That doesn't mean that they can't be redeemed or they can't change and turn over a new leaf. But the longer that evil sits in your soul, the worse things can become. Now, the reason I say that is because a terrible thing happened this week. A speaker, a debater, an ideologue, if you so choose, a conservative speaker, by the way, by the name of Charlie Kirk, was brutally, coldly, callously assassinated in front of a crowd of people during a speaking engagement, in front of his family, including his young children. That's a terrible thing in and of itself, and the root of that, again, is somebody who was infected by evil. The true motivations and exactly why they did it and what they thought they were going to accomplish are yet to be determined, and the person has been arrested. So those answers will come in time. But bringing that back to comics, what happened since, and what has opened, I think, the eyes of a lot of people, is seeing the reactions to this cold-blooded murder, particularly from people who work within the comics field. The reaction I first saw, and the one that sort of gave me a immediate reaction to do something, was from a writer by the name of Gretchen Felker Martin. Now, if you don't know that name, that's not a surprise, because Gretchen Felker Martin doesn't really have any substantial pedigree within the comics industry. Gretchen Felker Martin is predominantly known as a sort of a splattergore horror writer with a definite, I would say, feminist bent, if you will. Gretchen Felker Martin was hired to write Red Hood, a miniseries. Now you say, well, wait a minute, if this person has no pedigree in comics, why were they hired? The answer is I'm not exactly sure. You can probably make an assumption that the editor of that book, senior editor of that book, is Ariana Turturro, formerly son, now daughter of the famous actor John Turturro. You say, who is John Turturro? Well, he's done a bunch of films. You look him up. Most recently, he played Carmine Falcone in the Batman film. So there's already some WB-DC comic book association there. John, I would guess, maybe was helpful in that association. Maybe, I don't know. And as you can guess, John's son, now daughter, is also trans. Gretchen Felker Martin is also trans. So there's loose connections there. You can draw your own conclusions. I'm not sure if they're factual as far as why things were done the way they were done, but okay. So Gretchen Felker Martin also has a reputation for being, shall we say, very inflammatory online, spewing very hateful, violent rhetoric, wishing for J.K. Rowling to be killed for expressing anti-trans views according to Gretchen's opinion, all kinds of stuff. Now, this is before Gretchen came to DC. Gretchen was hired to come to DC. I think there was maybe a Harley Quinn backup story or one shot or something where Gretchen was involved. I don't know, but there is definitely no long list of DC superhero comic writing pedigree. Gretchen was somehow, I don't know how, given the opportunity to write a ongoing Red Hood series. And so on the day that the first issue releases, Charlie Kirk is murdered. A cold blood. It was an evil act. And the way Gretchen chose to react at all publicly I mean, there was no obligation to do so, but the way Gretchen chose to react to that publicly is to say some very terrible things about Charlie Kirk, call him very vile names, and also, I think this is the most important point, celebrate the violence that occurred. To celebrate his murder. I don't believe Gretchen Felker Martin is evil. But I do believe that Gretchen Felker Martin has an infection of evil. A rot. We all have it. I'm not free from it. Neither are you. No one is free from dark thoughts, dark ideas, pain, wishing pain on others, wishing pain on yourself. These are part of the human condition. But it's how we choose to deal with that darkness and those little fragments of evil that are in all of us, and how we choose to express them to the world. Gretchen Felker Martin chose to express that evil with more evil. Instead of doing something constructive, to spew hate, to celebrate violence, to be okay with cold-blooded murder. And that's not okay. So what I did was, as soon as I saw a screenshot of what Gretchen Felker Martin said, which is, for example, hope the bullet's okay after touching Charlie Kirk, which is a despicable thing to say. I said, you know what? This is enough. Enough's enough. So I posted a post up on X, formerly known as Twitter. And what I said exactly was, this is the Rider of Red Hood #1 by DC Official, which is their DC's official Twitter handle, or X handle, released today. It's long past time to flush the trash creators out of comics. Enough is enough. Now maybe you can take issue with me using the word trash creator. Okay, I'll own that. But the last statement is truly the true statement. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. DC and Marvel, I'm focused on DC in this moment, but Marvel's no exception, have a history of hiring people who say and do despicable things and not calling them to account. In this case, it's not just about Gretchen Felker Martin, it's also about the editor who hired Gretchen Felker Martin. In this case, Ariana Turturro. And above Ariana is the group editor for all the Batman titles, Rob Levin. As much as it's Gretchen's words, those two people, those editors, are also responsible for hiring Gretchen, knowing Gretchen's history. Knowing Gretchen has a background of saying despicable, heinous things online. And they still hired Gretchen anyway. Now, that post, which is, I'm not exactly an unknown quantity on the online space, but that post garnered over 1 million views, 10,000 likes, over 2,000 retweets, 600 comments as of this recording. And the reason I think that's important is not to pat myself on the back like, oh, yay, you went viral. No, it's to point out that there are a lot of people who are, like me, sick of it. Enough is enough. It's just enough. And we're tired of it. Companies need to be more responsible with their characters. And I'm talking about comic publishers here. They need to be more responsible about their characters. They need to be more responsible about the caretaking of their brand. They need to be more responsible about the relationship they have with their readers and how the creators they hire either bolster and improve that relationship, or they get in the way and they make it dark, dirty, and ugly. Gretchen Felker Martin didn't even think. But in that moment of spewing evil thoughts and evil intent, Gretchen Felker Martin sullied the reputation of DC Comics and the editors that hired Gretchen Felker Martin. That's not okay. Now, that's not to say that I'm advocating boycotting DC. I think that's silly. Then those things never really work. But what it is okay to say is when these things happen, we have to be more vocal about it. We have to call it out. We have to shine the bright light of exposure on it and say, again, enough is enough. I wish Gretchen Felker Martin well. I sincerely hope, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I sincerely hope that whatever rot is in there that is causing these kinds of statements, to celebrate murder, to celebrate violence, to celebrate the assassination of a man in front of his family, and think that's something to cheer about. I sincerely hope that whatever is within that person is squelched, rooted out, mitigated, controlled, contained, whatever word you want to use. But it's not okay. It's not helpful for anybody that hires that person. It's not helpful for that person. And it's not helpful for anybody else that hears it and sees it. So, for me, I think I want to take that trash word back because it doesn't help to call people names. But the last statement is the one that counts. Enough is enough. And that means even for seasoned creators who might be working at DC and Marvel and all the comic publishers we've given literally millions, if not billions of dollars worth of money to over the course of these many decades. Enough is enough. Vet your creators. Do not hand wave away, accept, or somehow excuse bad behavior. The brand must be protected. The characters must be protected. And if there's nobody left in Marvel and DC that is willing to put in the effort to protect their brand, to protect their characters, you're better off just shutting it down. I don't want to see that happen, and honestly, that's not going to happen. But at the same time, all you're doing is hurting yourself and everyone who has spent so many, many years caring about these comics, caring about this medium. It's not okay. So again, I wish Gretchen Felker Martin well. I don't believe Gretchen Felker Martin, and I'm saying that intentionally because I want people to remember that name, because if you see it again, you know what has happened here. If you see that person, wish them well. Wish whatever dark, ugly, evil rot is within them is brought under control and maintained. And not only for them, but for yourself. Because we're all guilty of it from time to time, including me. But we have to support each other by calling it out and making sure that it gets under control. Because this is not okay. And it's just hurting everybody. So this was just sort of stream of consciousness, but I want to know your thoughts below as well. I mean, were you aware of this situation? Did you know that this person was writing Red Hood? Did you read the first issue of Red Hood? I flipped through it. It was not good. So there's really no creative juice and talent there lost, at least for the time being. And also, what do you think of the editors that hired this person? Knowing they had a problematic history, knowing they had a modus operandi of saying terrible things. What is going on with the editors at DC? And maybe that's the next step. Maybe we need to start shining the light on them too. And if we start doing that, that's going to be a much bigger problem. If we find things that are not quite up to snuff. Tell me below. What do you think? Was Gretchen's firing justified? Was pulping the entire Red Hood series justified? Or did you think that there was a better way to handle it? And also, what needs to happen next for DC and Marvel? DC, I think, did the right thing by pulping it and firing Gretchen, but there is a lot. There is a lot going on internally that is very similar to what's happened here, and you just don't see about it. You just don't see it. But I don't know. Again, I'm going to go back to where I started. People are not evil, but they can be infected with evil. And if we're going to get through this and make a better world and make better comics, we can no longer tolerate evil. Enough is enough. Thanks for watching.